Well, hi folks, here I am at Snape Maltings in Suffolk, which is a lovely area, and we're here to look at an exhibition by the artist Peter Williams and have a chat with him about his work. And as you can see through the window of the gallery here, it's starting to get busy. Hi folks, well here we are as you see at Snape Maltings, and I'm here with Peter Williams, our artist and friend who we know from Paint My Photo. Talking about his work and looking at his work here on the exhibition. Peter, we were just talking about, I'd like to actually quickly just show the viewers a painting they may already have seen on your site, Snow Patrol, and I believe you were telling us that you were using the Daniel Smith watercolours for that.
Yes, as I was saying, I've probably done half a dozen or so paintings using those watercolours now, and it's a slightly different technique to what I've been used to. But yes, you do get this lovely granulation effects and the texture effects from those paints, which I'm now being able to exploit quite nicely, I think.
Yeah.
So with this one, it's just one of those paintings that worked really straight away. I was really pleased with that one, and then finished it off with a firing of white gouache from a toothbrush just to get the snow effect on there.
So when you're, just for the, obviously many of the people who are watching this are watercolour painters, if it's, we'll pick your brains about that. So you're saying about the granulation, sort of, did you know in advance, or how did you know how the paints would react?
It's taken a little while to get used to it actually. I think the first painting I did, I'm trying to think, but it's over the back there, we'll see that in a moment.
Yep.
But yeah, I was quite surprised at actually what happened once you laid the washes down. You're thinking that's it, but of course it's constantly changing till it dries, so you end up with quite a different effect to what you perhaps were expecting at the beginning. But once you start to realise what is going to happen, you can then exploit it quite well. And I think I'm starting to get to that stage now where I can put something that doesn't look perhaps finished down, but I know it's going to actually evolve slightly as it dries.
And you exploit those as you go along, those effects.
And of course you do get sort of happy little accidents, which you get with any watercolours, I'm sure. But you get quite a few with these granulation effects, and then you can then go in with some fine brushes sometimes, just if you wanted, say, some rock textures or something similar to that, you can then pick out little things that have happened and just bring them out more, which not so much in that painting, but some of the others you'd see that.
Okay, we'll have a look at the other ones as well. So Peter, we're looking at this painting, which you've called Whatever, which great title, and you were telling us about some of the effects.
Yes, it was more, I mean, as I was saying, more with this one, as the paint starts to dry, you do get a lot more texture coming through. And what I've done, I've picked out, obviously with the skin textures of an animal like this, I've picked out some of the wrinkles and so on, and tried to bring them out more with finer brushes, and I think it works quite well in that.
So this is where some of those happy accidents have taken place.
Yeah.
That you referred to.
Yeah, I found it quite useful to actually paint quite darkly. I mean, as you can see in the shadow areas here. Because you can always lift paint out, and you get lovely colours coming through from the base of the paint. Yeah. And then you can actually pick out the shadows and so on. And it seems to work quite well, especially if you contrast it with some nice highlights here and there. Yeah. And I've tended to use where I need a bit of movement in the painting. Like for instance, with these birds, I've tended to use the other watercolours for that because. They just give you a smoother finish, so if you need to sort of blend it out into the paper like this, I find that an easier way to work. Just wash the colours out, and it gives that kind of
yeah, that's what you mean. The effect there gives, yes, it gives like almost like a camera effect, you know.
Because the reference photograph for this didn't have any birds in it.
I see. Right. Okay.
You'll see that in quite a few of my paintings. Actually, I've added a few birds, I think, just to give a little bit more interest and a bit of movement as well. Which I think works quite well on there, and the composition as well. Yeah. Going up into the corner like it is.
And also, Peter does an awful lot of pencil work, graphite work. Some of these are incredibly detailed, Peter. Any tips you can give people, or anything you can tell us about your techniques?
It's more or less the first question people ask is always, how much time did that take you, and how did you do the fine details? And to be honest, it's not as difficult as it perhaps looks. I mean, this one in particular. You're
not doing a good selling job there. You should say it's extremely difficult and takes many years of practice, which I'm sure is actually true.
Yeah, there's certain little tricks that you can use, which I start, for instance, on this. I start with a very.
Okay, let's look at this. This is a drawing or a work you've called Tough Guys.
Yeah, I mean,
These
I
two,
did a small exhibition down at the Halsey Bay stud farm for the Suffolk Punch horses, which these are two
Okay.
of those, and this is one of the the drawings I took down for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the fur textures and the hairs, I start with a really, really hard pencil, very fine point,
Yeah.
and just start drawing in, and it basically impresses the paper. You don't get a lot of tones
okay.
to begin with, but then as you build it up with the softer pencils, the marks that you've made with the hard one, they start to come through, and you'll get this kind of fur effect, and you can really get right into it. You can get really short, fine deep hairs and details to do that.
So it's almost like, for want of a better word, you're using it to not emboss, but the opposite of embossing, almost engrave into the paper, and then going over with a softer pencil to bring out the highlights.
And then you can blend in with like rolled up little bits of tissue. I use little bits of J cloth, all sorts of different textured things, just to bring out the details really. And then the background is very quick. I mean, I save all the graphite dust and so on from my pencil sharpenings, and I just dip my tortil into that and just rub it into the paper.
Okay.
And again, with a kneadable eraser, you can bring out clouds or whatever effects it is that you're after. And it doesn't take that long to do. I mean, this one did take a long time to do all the tackle and so on. A lot of that took a lot of drawing, but some of the others, they're fairly quick.
Okay, Peter. Now we were discussing earlier between ourselves before we started filming about your prints, and you do sell quite a lot of prints.
About once or twice a year, I tend to pick out some of my favourite paintings and drawings and have some prints made.
Yeah.
I haven't done professionally onto good quality paper, so because I'm not really a believer in just running them off on my little printer at home.
No. I know some people do that, and I think that's an important point actually.
Well, it's a good selling point. Is the fact that this.
Can we see that one? Hold that one up so that people can see that. That's beautiful.
Which is another.
So when people buy them off the website, they don't come with that mount, do they? Or do they come with that mount? They come with the mount.
Unless they specify they want it otherwise, I usually send them out as it is, so they can either
brilliant.
Them or and frame them, or they can just have them as they are. But some people have asked for them unmounted because they prefer to get a coloured mount or something. But
that's a beautiful one of that wolf. Did I see that one on PMP?
I was going to say that is another image from Paint My Photo. I added the shrubbery.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I called that one Outlawed, which it's
great.
Favorites, actually.
Yeah, superb.
And
you deliver worldwide, obviously.
Yeah, it's a good thing for craft fairs and so on as well, because although I usually take a good selection of original paintings to show. Yeah. Most people don't really want to spend £200 or £300
on a whim, as it were.
But they quite often they'll pick up a print and it's nice to get them out there, and they'll take a business card, and who knows, that might lead to a sale of an original in the future once they've had a look at the website and so on. So they're a good thing for that.
And people watching the video, Peter's website is on the link at the bottom if you're on YouTube, or this is the link here on the video. Well, there's a rack with Peter's prints in, as we can see, and I noticed this one here that I've seen before. I know this is Desperado, Peter, and I believe I know Modesty Forbids, but wasn't that the one that you that was entered for the Wildlife Artist of the Year?
That's right, the David Shepherd exhibition.
The David Shepherd exhibition,
the Mall Galleries down in London.
Yeah.
Again, it's another of my favourite drawings because although I did have a reference photograph for the wolf, it wasn't a particularly good quality photograph, so I used quite a bit of my own German Shepherd as reference for.
Oh, I see.
So you can, as its owner, I can see quite a lot of him in that, whereas I've tried to keep it wolf-like with the shorter ears and so on, but.
There's a lot more to these drawings and paintings, people, than we always, tend to see. We often tend to see. There's a lot of backstory to a lot of them, isn't there?
Yeah, maybe that's true.
Yeah.
Because I could talk about these paintings all day long, but I'm talking about them from the artist's point of view and the techniques and so on, not necessarily from a art point of view or what makes a decent sort of painting's point of view. It's more about how it was achieved and how it was created. But
that's a major part of it, isn't it? Because because they're animals, there's a lot of emotional content in there. You obviously love animals.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had no formal training with my art, so I'm completely self-taught. So, you know, I've developed the techniques gradually by studying, you know, a lot of other artists in a similar position to myself. Yeah. And photography as well is actually a big influence on me, because I do appreciate good photography, particularly I love the black and white infrared photography, and I try to get that effect in some of my drawings. You can get...
oh, that's interesting. You mean like the nighttime that you see on... Maybe, I don't know, Autumn Watch, Spring Watch, some of these programs where they use the infrared...
Well, there's some of them very good wildlife artists. Like, there's a guy called Billy Dodson, who's an American, and another guy called Brand. I can't remember his first name off the top of my head. We'll
look it up, and if I find it, it'll be on the video.
But if you look at their photography, it does actually look like it was perhaps created with pencil. You've got this kind of silvery white clouds and so on, and really dramatic scenes, which I think do lend themselves to the pencil works quite well. Billy Dodson, actually mentioning him, he's one of the photographers who's kind enough to allow me to use his photographs for reference. So all he wants from me is the odd print now and again I send over to him.
Oh, fair enough.
Which is very kind of him.
You perhaps shouldn't say that, because a lot of people on PMP will be watching this. They'll all be after prints now. Sorry, folks, it's not part of the deal. You signed up to say we could use your phone. No, I'm sure they won't. I'm sure they won't. And if they do, they know where to go to get them. Thank you, Peter. Peter, we've covered your, we've talked about your watercolours and your pure watercolours, and we've talked about your drawings, but you also do pastels, and I think there's a selection of pastels here.
Yeah, it's something it's relatively new to me, pastel work. I mean, I'm a great admirer of some of the expert pastel artists you'll see on the internet. Eric Wilson comes to mind. He's a friend of mine and probably one of the top guys in the world, I would say, for wildlife. And I do try and paint my pastel works in a similar sort of style to him. I'm nowhere near his standard, I don't think. But
you're supposed to be promoting. See, look, ladies and gentlemen, this is an artist. You see, supposed to be promoting his work, and he's busy talking about other artists.
I should nowhere near his price either.
You know what? Yes, indeed. Your prices are extremely reasonable, as people will realise.
But here's one I've done fairly recently, which is called Approaching Menace.
Yeah.
People will have...
I'll tell you what, I've seen in real life, it's even better than seeing it online. I can't get close enough with the camera to show because it won't go in focus. I'm only using this little flip camera here, ladies and gentlemen, but the quality of that, the textures is superb.
And for these, I use soft pastels to do the backgrounds and a lot of the foreground as well, actually. I can just roll colour and pigment into that. And then I've got pastel pencils where I can pick out the real fine details on the face and so on. So you get quite a good level of realism, I think. Yeah, indeed. And I should mention as well, I use pastel matte as a surface, which that's again fairly new to me. I discovered that just a few months ago, really. And it's when you actually feel the surface, it feels quite smooth, and you wouldn't think the pastel would actually adhere to it. But it's actually millions of minute little hairs on it, which you can't really feel, but as soon as you apply the pastel, it kind of draws it on, and it's really good. So you can get layer after layer on there and build up a really good depth of pigment. Now
I have not to this level. I have done some landscapes in pastel. Do you ever use fixative, or is it no?
I do use fixative occasionally. Yeah. You do tend to find that it will deaden the colours and make it a little bit wishy-washy. So I tend to just use that in the process. If I, for instance, I might finish the sky initially, and then before I put the main subject in, I might just put a little bit of fixative on, so that I can then draw the elephant over the top, if you like. So it's not going to smudge into the background. Right. But then I'd still probably have to redo part of the sky again to just bring it up back out from where it's dialed down a little. It's a tricky thing, fixative, because you don't want, obviously, the pastel will fall off again after in transit or something. But at the same time, you don't want to deaden the colours. But, I think there is a medium in there somewhere where you can perhaps apply some fixative and not really spoil the picture. Yes, indeed. It's tricky. Yeah, brilliant. And while we were talking about it, you were also mentioned off camera about this is one of your favourite pieces at the moment, I believe? Yes, I mean, I love horses. Oh, is this is watercolour again, though, isn't it? We're back to watercolour. Oh, we're back on watercolour. Sorry, I've changed this up in the medium. The Daniel Smith paints again, which again I'm really loving using. And this one, again, you can see all the the textured and granular granular effects in the background. It's just one of those paintings that worked well from the word go, I think, for me as an artist.
You can tell when it's going well. You get to a certain point.
You enjoy it more, and you tend to get stuck in. I mean, you forget about having lunch and all the rest of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the painting just works. So I was really pleased with that one.
Yeah, it is a superb work, and your exhibition is proving very popular. Well, Peter, thanks for allowing us to have a look at your exhibition here today and having this exclusive interview and all the tips as well that a lot of the artists watching will really enjoy. You're obviously really contented man living out here. You were just telling me a little bit. How long have you been living out this way? Was it Leston?
We moved here in 2005, but we did. My mother was actually born over this way, although I was brought up in Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
So and we had a bit of an affinity with the area to start with.
Yeah.
But we've been over here about 7 or 8 years now, and it's I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. It's just lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the lifestyle, you get up in the morning, you go to your studio, you work out what you're going to work on that day, and
I'm out with my dogs.
Take your dogs out. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's just so much around here that I enjoy. The big open spaces and the heathland I love.
Yeah.
The marshes. I'm a bit claustrophobic, I think, so these big Suffolk spots, I just love it, you know. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, as I say. Whenever we go away, I just want to be home again.
Well, that's a good advert for Suffolk, certainly.
It is. It's not perhaps for everyone. There's not a lot to do if you're.
I think there's a lot of us. I think there's a lot of us who understand why you do it and why you enjoy it so much. So anyway, thanks again, and we've really enjoyed seeing.
It's been really nice to talk to you.
Thank you, and much more success, and no doubt we'll interview again sometime.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Peter.